Hi everyone, welcome to our third week in our lecture series. We're going to be discussing telecommunications, physical space and social spaces. And if you have done Joshua Meyrowitz's reading, you will be able to hopefully follow some of the concepts that we are looking at. Now, I'm not going to repeat the reading, the lecture notes and the reading itself provide you with the key concepts. But I want to bring your attention to something interesting that I thought might appeal to you. And it is how communications technology is changing the way we perceive time, the way we perceive spaces, physical as well as social. Now, let me take you through to a thinking of how gaming architecture and gaming engines now have really revolutionized the way we are looking at our spatial awareness, the way we are perceiving how we live in our current environments. Now, if you're a gamer, this sounds probably familiar. If you're a developer, you've been dabbling with that sort of apps or software, you'll notice that a lot of content now is being created based on what we call gamification. Back in the day when I was in the corporate scene, there's a lot of this gamification talk when I was working in a telco to how to incentivize things like employee engagement, getting people on board to do certain tasks for the company, making it fun, making it also fun for the customer. So it's taken on a completely different mode now with the what you call it, the exponential growth of technology. And if you are familiar with things like Unity and Unreal, it's amazing to see these platforms, these tools now being used to simulate real life situations to help with things like urban planning, public transport, or even setting up certain company policies, and also contributing to our architectural sector. Now, let's go to a very sort of a simple example. We know that Unity is actually being used or was used to simulate traffic in the Hong Kong International Airport. Now, as you know, gaming engines, if you're not sure, please feel free to use our Google friend or any other search engine that you research on. Inputting data into a platform like Unity or Unreal, what it essentially does is helps to transform it into something else, modeling, so that your real airport designers, your transport engineers are able to gauge how certain air traffic comes in and certain movements of passengers to better design and improve traffic flow within the airport. So what does that say about using a tool as powerful as as the gaming engines that we see available now? Made really user-friendly, made really accessible to new developers, new programmers. Even a lay person like me will be able to learn across a lot of tutorials on how to simulate. Now, simulation is not new. We've had flight simulations for pilots. We've had, I think in the past, something quite old called AutoCAD. If you're an engineering student, it's a very old software that a lot of engineers use to design prototypes to be able to use. But what the point is of these platforms and tools is that it starts to shift our perception of how we are entering the gaming realm from this physical realm. There's very little distinction now between the two, and how we are really applying that sort of technology into making our communication systems more efficient, more cost effective, and also perhaps to serve the actual function it's supposed to serve. So this is the Hong Kong airport is just one example. You'll see an image hopefully in a minute of what it looks like. So we talked about simulation and creating real-life models for perhaps urban planners, architects of infrastructure, policymakers, governments, corporations, players in society to be able to better plan for how something works, either to manage a crisis better or to kind of anticipate, perhaps volcano eruption. You could do that with the Sinabung, recent Sinabung eruption, maybe if you could plot. But of course, you cannot predict. You're not psychic, and you don't have a crystal ball to gaze on. But with the right kind of data, with the right kind of programming, you're probably able to just see how it works. Like say with the tsunami alert systems, you could create lots of simulation with that, and then to prepare for a disaster management system to help people evacuate more efficiently, to save more lives. So this is the starting of the use of how in a world of gaming, you're able to transplant those tools and those ideas into the physical realm. And this is the premise of what Meyerowitz talks about, how communication technology has really transcended across these so-called two spheres. Now, I want to just bring your attention to something else which I thought was interesting, how we are also making use of what we see in the gaming platforms into, say, something as something as behavioral as job recruitment, like TikTok videos being used to participate in the Choose Your Character challenge. So I think if you're familiar with that, you can see how the ideas of promoting a certain type of occupation, a certain type of role in society becomes a little bit more fun, in choosing your characters, in kind of like explaining the role of certain jobs. Like you see, if you follow certain TikTok videos, the medical profession, or maybe other engineering profession, or even like the arts profession. So I think it's exciting. Sometimes it could be scary in a sense that would you be able to separate the virtual from the real? I mean, that is the constant sort of argument that some theorists and some of us will have. But you see in the next video how one user of TikTok is able to kind of exemplify and make use of a sort of a gaming concept to just share his or her sort of profession and make it a little bit more interesting and appealing to those who are familiar with that sector. So again, coming back to the point where we're crossing this thing called the concept of being seamlessness, there are no really any boundaries. You find that you're able to travel into the gaming realm and also being able to apply into real life and exert it. And are there any more boundaries than with communications technology of today?
Choose your character.
So it just brings to home that it comes back to a question of social constructivism. Is it a fact of us influencing the society, influencing how these platforms are used, or to make it interesting, palatable? These barriers have been broken by using gaming tools or software expertise to gamify our life. How would you factor that into your understanding of communications technology today? You're right, the barriers have broken. There is no distinction between what's in your screen and what's sitting here. Is it something that's created by us as a free agent, or is it like a cyclical effect to create this sort of dual reality which seemingly does not have any borders? So it's something to think about, perhaps when you are also looking at the other questions for your essays or for your first assessment. How does gamification change the way you behave? Is it technologically deterministic, or do you have a part to play as someone with agency? It's certainly an argument which you could have for a period of time, because it depends on cultural factors, context, accessibility to such tools, to such infrastructure. But the whole idea of having a no sense of place anymore, and how your social situation can change, and it's not bounded by the physical place that you're in. So your social situation can be transcended onto this sort of virtual platform, not bounded by, say, a classroom that you're in a physical building with doors and walls and windows, but you could actually have the same communication across the screen as I am doing with you now. So that's essentially the week's concepts that we're looking at. How has communications technology caused this explosion and change in our understanding of physical barriers and social barriers? Someone with little access to wealth but able to afford a cheap device can get on into the virtual realm now and make a video, communicate, transfer a message, influence and change another person, an institution. So has communication technology democratized us? How has communication technology influenced us in terms of our behavior? So food for thought for the rest of the week. I will see you again next time.